So there are a hell of a lot of people who talk about this subject, whether it's via YouTube or on any other platform or however else. It would seem to me that it's a good idea to differentiate between someone where it's coming from a place of true freedom, or it's an assumed, there's an assumption made, oh, I've had this huge insight, or many insights, or whatever has happened, seem to have happened, and now I'm free, and now I understand it, and now I see how it is, and now I'm going to talk about it. That's not to say that, like, talking about, it's not like the purview of anyone in particular, or any that there's any terms and conditions for talking about this, obviously. But it would just seem to me that there's a certain kind of, there's bound to be a certain kind of misguidance if somebody is telling others how it is, and is not speaking from a place of freedom. It doesn't matter how much the lingo is observed of, well, there isn't anyone here speaking, and there is no truth, and we can't really say what this is, and it's a mystery, and there is no one here who knows anything, all that stuff. That can just be learned lingo, and it can be closed, like anything can be excused with the language. And so really it's a lesson, really, because it's all about the tongue. It's all about what we say, and the whole world runs on it. The manipulation by the tongue, the claiming that's constantly hidden and furthered with so much flattery and countless other tools. So what the tongue does, what the words do, is that they gloss over feelings. And the world, the realm of feelings, that's where the depth is. Obviously. There's a dark, black ocean that is this emptiness, spaciousness. It's just empty in the sense that it has no form, but it's full of life, it's full of energy, it is energy. And words really have the capacity to cast a shadow over all that, seemingly negate it. And this is very easily observed. It's really a case of going with one's feeling. You can see it in someone's eyes, where they're coming from. If there is pride, you can see it in their eyes. So the undifferentiated listening to somebody talk about non-duality is misguidance. It's how it is, but it doesn't seem to get talked about a lot. It doesn't seem to get addressed a lot. And if I'm listening to some video, then I'll be damned if I'm going to listen to someone who's taking whatever they've seen, whatever gift they've received, and are crowning themselves with it. and the big following that kind of energy gets is of the same energy, so that the criteria of whether someone is speaking genuinely or not does not lie in whether that person is known or not, or there are no criteria for that at all apart from intuition, feeling, true feeling. The intellect is not a sound judge of this. Feelings are the only way to access, let's say, this dark ocean. They are the connection to it. It's like the connection is there anyway, but it's like the tunnel to it, to then this expression in this realm, in this world, is through feelings. It's through feelings that we are nourished, in terms of, I don't know, stability or mental health or emotional maturation, integrity, dignity. All these things are feelings. The trouble with a purely intellectual view, or with overlooking feelings, is that the connection to the source, so to speak, is lost, is obscured. It's not lost, but then there is a feeling of being lost, and that feeling causes so much thrashing around to have some kind of a foothold that can be presented to the outside world as credibility. Like it gets dressed and decorated and maintained to a standard that hopefully will get accepted by the outside world, and best case scenario will get approval as well, and recognition and admiration. So that's the same dynamic that goes on with talking about non-duality. That's not to say that there aren't sincere people who speak about it in a sincere way as well. But still, I would say that if somebody's not free and is talking about it, there is a limit to where there won't be some watering down or dilution of what's being talked about, or some kind of how would you say, warping or yeah. So the problem with overlooking feelings and demonizing them and seeing them as unimportant is that it creates a kind of a clinical view of things. So for example, the so-called radical view of non-duality, the way it gets talked about, that it's somehow radical or pure if we say that there is no one and we just sit on that, and it takes completely out of the equation. If I'm talking to, let's say, I don't know, a journalist who has barely heard the term, is just wondering what it is, or anyone would just wonder what is non-duality, what is this, what are people even talking about, and then they just go straight in with well, actually there is no one, and there is only freedom, and so on. There comes a point in the conversation where the feelings are left out if there is just a riding on, okay, I have to stay radical here. This is the view that I represent, that it's radical. There will be an insistence, which would be a kind of a pride. But really what feelings would do is just to talk to whatever energy is there is asking. There would be a coloring of it in a way that person would understand. It would be the simplest way to make things clear. It's love, because it's love. It contains love, and love will always love will always work through humility. So that means I don't know, like a modesty which is explaining things simply and staying with the essential things. To explain things as clearly as possible, as simply as possible, that's all. Yeah, so even this so-called radical non-duality is a term that's kind of been born out of pride. Like someone might have said it, that there's a radicalness about a way of speaking that hasn't been spoken, that hasn't been used before. I don't know, but I don't know if that's would even be true. But then the whole school of thought gets born from it, and now it's a thing. Now radical non-duality is a thing. It's the same with the self. So much obsession with it, then it becomes a thing. Whereas what it really is the expression in form of the formless, of each unique expression of it. Call it a self. What's the big deal? That there is not somebody ultimately is a different thing. But again, that differentiation doesn't get made. It's not a felt thing if there is this insistence on no. Self is a taboo word. I is a taboo word. We're going to just ride on slating that. And the trouble with disregarding feelings is really the origin of all other troubles.